Hi everyone, welcome to week 5. I hope you're ready to keep moving forward, and yeah, especially with the end in sight. This is our second to the last week of regular classes before exams, and as you guys know, your unit plan is your exam, so we've been kind of chipping away at that all semester. Hopefully you're seeing just a gentle rolling end to the semester, and it's not stressing you out too much. If it is, let me know. Let's talk about that. We're all gonna get there together, so just let's support each other, continue to pray for each other. Drawing your attention to our prayer list again. I want to thank Lauren for adding a good reminder of praying for those who maybe are suffering in different ways, differently than maybe what we are. I was reminded of that also, and I included a prayer. It's not my own prayer, something I was sent, and but it just really helped me change my attitude a bit. I've been a bit grouchy and not always very positive about what's going on. I wish it were different, obviously, we all do. But just a good reminder that for most of us, it's an inconvenience, and others are suffering. And so just remembering that and looking for ways to bless those around us and to be a support and to come alongside people who have deeper levels of need is really important, and a good way to be able to show Christ's hope and love in a time like this. I've had different experiences over the last few weeks of realizing and recognizing how much more receptive people are to that message of hope. And so I'm keeping that in my prayers for all of us, that we can be that for others. And if you need that person to just remind you of just the joy we have, the benefit we have in knowing that our God is in control, how much He loves us, and just having that reminder over Easter. You know, I'm sure for you too, it didn't seem like Easter last Sunday. It was very different in our household. It's usually a pretty big deal, and yet what is happening, the circumstances that are happening now, does not change the reality of God's sovereign power and His overwhelming love for humanity. So let's hold on to that and be part of that that effort of displaying and manifesting God's love to others during this time. So not that that's part of your assignment, but it's part of our work as disciples, right, as kingdom workers. So let's just kind of remember that moving forward into week 5. Our essential questions focus on the instructional strategies part of our unit. We're kind of moving into that last phase. We've done a ton of planning. More recently, we nailed down the assessments and the rubric and how we're going to measure understanding. Thank you for your work on the test. I will be correcting those this week. I'm also working through your drafts and giving you feedback. So many of you are starting to see some comments popping up there. I'll continue that. That's on my front burner right now. In this week, the work that I'd like for you guys to tackle involves reading the last chapter that we'll read in Van Brommelen, chapter 4. So that's his chapter on instructional strategies. So take a look at that. It's fairly lengthy, but I don't think it's like real heavy reading. It's not dense. So hopefully you'll enjoy that, just exploring what instructional strategies would look like from a Christian perspective. I've also posted a voice thread with some video clips throughout, not on every slide, but just some commentary. So work through that. My hope is that it highlights what I feel are the important points of the Van Brommelen chapter, and also a little bit on the Marzano readings that you read last week. So that will be your reading and your presentation for the content this week. Following that, I'd like you to participate on this discussion board, and just one of the key points that Van Brommelen is making is the way we design our instructional strategies is intrinsically linked to our perspective, our philosophy of who our students are. So depending on how you answer that question will impact how you plan for instruction and the kinds of learning activities you choose for your lessons, for your unit. So be mindful, be discerning about how you honestly answer this question. And Van Brummelen lays out some very common metaphors that are, typically define these different views on this question. One is students as a blank slate. Like, do they come into your classroom just with nothing, and you're filling that blank slate with information? Another common metaphor that is associated with that is empty piggy bank. Are we filling them? These two are kind of the same metaphor. Another one is the behaviorism metaphor, the trainable object. Are we shaping and molding the thoughts and the lives of our students by using positive or negative motivators? Okay, so how are we shaping and molding our students? Are they trainable objects that can be manipulated in a sense and conditioned? Okay, or are they an unfolding plant? Like, do they work through these different stages in a very systematic way? Step by step, Piaget sets forth different developmental stages. So how do we view students in that light? So you'll read all about it in your Van Brummelen text. Another metaphor is agent of social change. Are our students the future of tomorrow? Will they change society? And so forth. So these are common metaphors. They show up in the way we teach. I'd like you to be discerning about which one of these metaphors, or maybe a combination, do you gravitate towards the most? Okay, there's some positive sides to each of these, and there's some drawbacks to each. And so just be discerning about that and tell us why you gravitate towards a specific metaphor. What are the strengths of the metaphor, and how might that metaphor inform the kinds of instructional strategies you choose for your unit. Okay, so that's one activity that I'd like you to work on as you grapple with the content. And then, of course, the big assignment for the week is your technology integration project. So the instructions are here on Canvas, and you will upload it to Canvas. And typically when I do this project, you guys would write a short paper. It's just a 1 to 2 page single-spaced paper. And then you would present one of the tools, one of the three. So you're going to talk about 3 different tools at least in your paper, and then you would demonstrate one of the tools that you talk about. So one of my favorite parts of like tech conferences that I like to go to, I usually go to a Google Summit once a year or every other year at the least, but they always do a tech demo slam where people just get up and they demonstrate different tech tools that they're excited about. So this is your chance to do that. Obviously we can't do that face to face, which kind of makes it a little bit more complicated, but actually gives you that much more of a chance to try out some new tech tools. And I would highly recommend the one that I'm using right now to demonstrate your tech tool. This is Screencast-O-Matic. I've linked it right here. So it's free. You don't have to sign up for an account. You just basically click the right button. I wish I could show you that right now, but you'll figure it out. And if not, talk to me and I'll help you. I'll walk through that. So the structure of your papers, I want you to find one tech tool that fits within these 3 categories. This is kind of an easy way, a alliterative way to think about the functionality of tech tools. Okay, so one discerning question that we talked about in Education 165 when we're working with educational technology is whether or not it's going to enhance learning or distract from learning. And we got to keep a good balance there, right? So that's one question we want to deal with, but I want you to add to that foundation that we started in that level 1 course Now also think about the functionality. Like, what are you actually doing with the technology? One function could be content creation, and this is a higher order thinking skill, right? So whenever you're creating, you're utilizing higher order thinking. Another is content curation. So there are tools that help you keep things organized or collect information, and I'm going to show you a tool here shortly there. Communication, obviously, even what we're doing right now, Zooming, any kind of, I want you to, when you present a tool, use a tool that maybe isn't so common that everybody knows about it anyway. Okay, so think about a communication tool that's somewhat unique. Like I discovered Flipgrid for the first time in this online chapter of our learning. So maybe you know of another communication tool that would be fun to demonstrate. As far as content creation, this is what we're talking about. Starting with something completely new. This is a video that my daughter made just the other night for her history class, and it's very short, so I'll just, actually I'll let you play it. It's quite humorous. So you'll see that she started with just basically the software, and to enhance a history concept that they're talking about, a unit that they're doing on World War I. She created this to demonstrate trench warfare in kind of a fun way. So take a look at that. So that would be creating something from, almost from scratch. Curation, I'm linking Google Keep, which has become a tool that I'm using a lot right now. It's almost like a social bookmarking site. I find it really helpful when I'm online and I want to remember a website and be able to go back to it. And I have a little icon at the top of my screen that will just automatically throw this link into my Google Keep. So if I'm like in ERIC looking for scholarly articles, I can just click on this little icon and this link will show up with a title in my Google Keep, which has been so helpful in my research. Another thing that is nice is that it's all shareable. So this is a Google product. So kind of in the same way we share Google Docs and Google Forms and all of the other Google products, Jasmine has been my research assistant in the last couple of years. So if she's looking online and she sees an article that she thinks, wow, this would be great for Professor Palama's research, she can share that and it goes right into my Google Keep again. So it's a great way to collaborate. So maybe you would consider Google Keep as both a curation tool and a communication or a collaboration tool. So it's got dual functionality. So that's kind of what I want you to do with this project. So look for at least one tool that's creation, one that's curation, and one that's communication that you can focus on and describe to us and talk about how you would use it. Okay? Tech integration projects, when you create your screencast, you'll have the option at the end to upload it to YouTube, which I would recommend if you have an account. That should be pretty easy to do. If not, you might consider creating an account or find another way to send me that file. It'll end up being an MP4 file, I believe. But or maybe there's another screencasting software that you would like to use, and that's fine. I recommend this. Like I mentioned, it's super easy and free, and you don't have to create an account for Screencast-O-Matic. But then to share it, to share your link, you would probably have to create an account on YouTube. So anyway, post the link in your paper, like just include it in there somewhere, and I will include those links on our learning guide next week so other people can see your presentation. All right, so just enjoy the work this week. I hope it's meaningful to you. If you are falling behind, know that I will accept late work until May 8th. I will probably put the zeros in the grade book this week so you know the impact it would have on your grade. Maybe that will motivate you to start, really working hard on it. I know you're working hard anyway, don't get me wrong. So anyway, talk to me during office hours or book an appointment. I'll see you.